is, the auditing industry is something, when I take a moment back, people don't really like you. Because you're going to people who have been doing the same thing for years and decades, which also Komal covered. So when you go to them, they will not welcome you with open arms. Gaurav, please come and audit me. So I think you should be sensitive to that. When you're going to someone to talk to them.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the GB show. First of all, thank you for giving so much love to all the 50 episodes of the GB show. I think the last video which we have rolled out on LinkedIn, I've got or filled my inbox with all the messages and love which I'm getting from you. I'm really, really grateful to all of you and want to say big thank for giving me so much of love. Yes, this show has become different or one of its kind in the industry, and we have tried to cover all the topics which you asked me to, and I have tried to bring all the leaders which you asked me to bring on table. Still, my inbox is free. You just send me the topics, you send me the leader's name, and I and my team have decided that at least we are now going to take it to the 100th episode. So this is the second inning, I will say, the 51st episode which we are going to shoot today, and this is gonna be a the session which we have already done in past on the auditing, which you from Komal Vora you must have heard about what is audit. Today I wanted to cover how to do the audit effectively, and not only in one country but globally. Right? So because the people are different, how they perceive the information is different. If you are doing audit in India, Singapore, China, Europe, US, it's different. So what we are going to cover today is how to be culturally intelligent in the audit world. And to discuss on this topic, I have someone who has 18 years of experience doing audits globally, having experience in fields like cybersecurity, privacy, audit, data security, and he is currently a director, InfoSec Global, into one of the MNC organization, and we are going to learn from him about the best practices and challenges he has faced while doing the audit in different countries. Let's hear Anish Mhaske. Hi Anish, welcome to the GB show.
Hi Gaurav, thank you so much.
Good to have you on the show, and you're looking quite a handsome guy today.
Thank you, try Gaurav.
Amazing. Okay, so first of all, for my audience, I will tell them, or I have already introduced you, but again, I will like to revise that, Anish is having around 18 years of experience and worked with different organizations and have visited different cities. Okay, and he has done audits, I guess, more than 3 regions and 10 plus countries, or 10 plus cities, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So to start with, maybe let's know about your career and how the journey has been for 18 years.
Thanks for that, Gaurav. Thank you so much. I think before I get into my journey, I would like to say the great work you're doing. I think I already spoke to you about how much everyone in the fraternity looks up to you. I think everyone you speak to knows Gaurav Batra, knows the GB show. So,
thank you.
Abhi wo coffee with Karan kaisa tha? This has become like, okay, InfoSec ka coffee with Karan. Like, if you're on the GB show, you're doing something right. So firstly, I think on behalf of the fraternity, you're doing great. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think doing 50 episodes is not easy. So, I mean, kudos to you and your incredible team. Like, hats off, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing that. Okay, 18-year journey now. It's been a while now. So let's take, let me just go back in time and let's see what happened. So, InfoSec is not something I really started with.
Okay.
I think I began my journey with quality. That's where it all started with. I did TQM, I did Six Sigma, I did Green Belt. Very few people know that I did a Master Black Belt also.
Okay.
And that's how I got into quality, process and documentation. And then, when I joined different companies and I was introduced to information security, and then understand, this is something that adds more value to what I was looking for. And honestly, between the both of us, I think the company gave good opportunities to travel when you're doing information security. So I really love the travel. Then I love auditing.
Okay.
So that was one kickstart for me to get into information security. And I would say I'm very privileged that I got an opportunity to audit 3 to 4 different countries across the world, and take my experience to different countries, learn a lot about culture, learn a lot about how people are different, and how we need to adapt to different surroundings. I think that is what I've really learned. Like auditing, understand is I'll give you a book or a audit kar lo, I'll give you a checklist. It's not very difficult, but the same thing when I say you do it in India versus you do it in a different country makes a lot of difference.
Okay, fair enough. And as I think for my audience, I will specifically like to mention, so we have covered a extensive episode on audit, and you can see the link, which is I think coming up somewhere about that particular episode, which I have done with Komal Voda, and I think you also have seen. So where we have covered the audit, but now I'm core looking into how to do the effective audits in there. But before I go there, as for your experience which we have, right, I will like to understand from you how culturally it is different, like when you are, because people are different, mindset is different,
100%,
how they work is different, right? So you're doing something in Europe, US, or in India, it's a totally a different ball game, and people how they perceive the information is different. How it has been your experience, and how you like to differentiate the audits in different countries?
Right. So yeah, Gaurav, I think before I go into that episode with Komal Vora, I think that was incredible. She's covered everything, it is like a flashback for me also, doing internal audits, how to really do an internal audit, like, being from the same fraternity, I think I could relate to everything she's shared. So, हाँ, बहुत कम छोड़ा है मेरे को बोलने के लिए, but I will still try to add something which she's not covered, or there might be some overlaps. But what I would say, Gaurav, is, the auditing industry is something, when I take a moment back, people don't really like you. Because you're going to people who have been doing the same thing for years and decades, which also Komal covered. So when you go to them, they will not welcome you with open arms. Gaurav, please come and audit me. So I think you should be sensitive to that. Like, when you're going to someone to talk to them, they should understand the intent. And this is something that should be driven from the top management. Like, why is this happening? What is the value addition for you, for your team? If you have some sensitive clients, me doing an information security audit will give the clients the confidence, will give the stakeholder that confidence. Like, if you're outsource any data, that data is safe with us. We have someone who's done a very extensive audit. So they should understand what's in it for them. That value addition quotient should be known to the people. Only then will they be open to you and talk to you about the process when you do an interview. And only then will the audit be value addition. Okay. So that is something we need to explain to the auditee. Now, I would like to share, I was reading somewhere, there's a report by McKinsey in 2018, wherein they say AI is the future. But your emotional quotient or emotional intelligence is something, or the only thing that will really differentiate you from the robots or machines. Because what they cannot do, they're not sensitive. There is no emotions to that. So for humans who are high on those quotients, who understand that cognitive behavior, who understand how you can be more creative, that is where the jobs will really stay. Okay. Because today it's very easy to automate a lot of checks that we do. You run system audits, you just run a scan and you have everything there. Why do you need humans? I think that is what we need to understand. Like, your emotional quotient is very essential. Like, I'll give you some examples. You mentioned about, doing audits in India and outside India. Yeah. Like, say, if I'm coming to audit you today, Gaurav, in India, and your manager said that, the auditor is coming in, and you will be like, first, really scared, like, okay, what is going to happen? Why am I being audited? You will not be very open to it. But you will be scared, but you will share things. But that hesitance is there, reluctance is there, but you'll do it. And I will not have to, change myself a lot. Like, I could still talk to you the way I'm talking right now and say, Gaurav, I'm doing an audit. Can you show me this? And you'll show all this to me. I don't have to change myself, my approach. But the same thing, if I have to do, say, in a UK or a US, wherein I go and talk to someone, I need to change myself because they are not used to the same language we will talk to. There is differences in the language, in the accents that they understand. So something which is very natural to you and me may sound rude to them. Or, they may perceive it separately or differently. Okay. So you need to understand the culture of any region that you go to. Komal spoke a lot about, understanding the audit scope, understanding the business, understanding why you're auditing. And if I'm auditing a team, I should know and have some background about it, which were excellent points. What I would like to add to it is understand the culture. Because in US itself, there are so many different states. And like in India, close to home, like people in Mumbai are used to a lot of things, a lot of chalta hai attitude. But when you go to Delhi, they have a different dialogue, the way they talk to. They are not rude, but that's the way they talk.
More
we
direct.
Understand that. You can understand. That's how it is. So even in the US, there are different people. So I would say when you talk to them, you should understand the culture, of which region you're looking at. So if something is more regional, more countryside, they are warm people, slow people. They are not 9 to 5 hustlers. They will not want to talk a lot. They are in their relaxed zone. Like I remember sending emails to people in regions like this and following up with them. And they're like, Anish, I'll do it. I'll do it. You just send the email, I'll do it. There's no rush here. Like in Mumbai, you have a habit. I'll send something and like, Gaurav, can you send it back? And you're like, yes, Anish, I'll give you. So you need to take a pause.
And there will be a lot of pressure coming from managers. Auditor's mail has come. You have to respond,
there is. But in countries outside India, it's not like that. The culture is different there. So when you audit them, they are very bindas. Like I was shocked the way they will manage an audit or they'll talk to you is very bindas. They don't really bother. Achha, you're an auditor. You come from India.
You like to spot this with any example or from your experience, something you like to share?
Yes. Let me think of a good example. So I will tell you an example wherein I had gone with an external auditor.
Okay.
So when we were doing these ISO 27000 audits, we had the same person who used to do audits in the India location, and the same person used to travel with me to US, UK, and other locations.
Okay.
So when he was auditing India, the minute he came, the full floor was quiet. Oh, the auditors come. No one talks. Zip. And everyone is praying like, no, not me. No, don't catch me. Don't catch me. They're very scared. And then, he'll ask question. You go to the US, they don't care. Like everyone's relaxed. Okay, the auditor, they're like, oh, hi, how are you? Yes, what do you need? You need this? Okay, I'll show it to you. They're like very open, they don't have that fear. But what I learned and I picked up a lot from my mentors and a lot of external auditors who I've worked with on the journey, they've taught me, Anish, know the culture. So when you question them, you always break ice with them. Like, how are you doing? How's the day been? This is me. I'm introducing myself. I'm here because I want to do an audit. Are you okay with me checking your system? Okay. Are you okay with me asking a few questions? So that breaks a little ice. That gives them a little comfort. And then you start asking questions to them. Okay. So I think that initial 50 seconds or 1 minute of introduction on, or just breaking ice on how you feel, what's the day been like. I think that gives you an entry into, what they are doing right now.
Okay, amazing, Anish. And I think you have traveled different cities. And have you seen the people auditing you differently in some ways?
I'll tell you one example, Gaurav. This is 10 years before.
Okay.
First time I went to the US, okay? And we're doing a physical security audit.
Okay.
And India, you have a security. We have a reception normally manned by securities. They will frisk your bags. They will check everything. Ask, do you have CDs, copies, pen drives, everything. So I go to a US and I was shocked. Okay, there is no physical security. Okay, there is no one who will ask you, okay, open your bag, show me this. And I was like, what's happening? Why is it so different? And then the external auditor comes, a very senior person from the industry who was certifying us for a standard. He's like, Anish, this is the culture. This is where the difference is.
Okay.
So in India, we are okay to open up our belongings and show that, there's nothing. But when you go outside in the Western countries, they are not very comfortable with that. Things are very personal to them. So they will never be open, like, expose your bag and, okay, can I check for pen drives? Can I check for CDs? So culturally, you will not have security guards there. I'm not sure all the locations in the US, but the major ones, we've never really had security guards. You will have someone at a front desk at the end of the building, at the lobby, They'll just say, okay, who do you want to meet? And they'll just make sure that you're entering. But there's no physical security. There are no cameras that are looking at you. Another thing I realized is privacy is very important there. Like, I don't want to be looked at. So in India, you will have an office, like your office, there's a camera looking at us right now. But if you go to different offices, unless you're sitting like in a dedicated space which is for a specific client and there is a requirement, other areas they don't want to be looked at. So there will no be there will not be any cameras wherein they are looking at you 24/7. Another thing I realized is when you walk in and out of a door, like in India, like same like you have, when you want to walk out, you need to access it to go outside. But a lot of places outside India, you are okay to access. There's an access card that you get into it, but when you have to walk out, you don't need access. The logic is whichever room I go into, I should be able to walk out freely. So those were a few things which I seen. Okay, it's a bit different. So in short, they take a lot of privacy is very close to them. Like their rights, they are very aware of their rights. Like this is not for me. This is for you. Like I'll give you a simple example. We were staying at a hotel, and when we stay at hotels in India, when you travel, normally when you go to say a gym or restaurant, you normally enter your name and they'll say, okay, can I have a number? And you'll put in your number. And say,
that's what I think in India we do.
We normally do. But you go outside India, you're not going to do that. They'll be like, why do you want the number? I mean, the culture there is so different. No one will ask you to do that. You might just maybe put in a room number at the most or just walk in with your key card. So this differences is something we need to understand. And as an auditor, you need to accept it. But if I'm going to go with the mindset of, this is how things happen in India and this is how I'm going to do in the US or in the UK, you're going to do something wrong there. The stakeholders are not going to be happy with you. So
okay, fair enough. So if the auditors need to be global, the first thing before audit you learn is the culture, right? 100%. So that is the takeaway I think I can take from this particular set. But now let's say I understand the culture and as we were talking about what Komal has given us. So maybe as I would like to understand from you that how I can do the audit effectively, okay? Because how I am going to measure it, that the whatever things I have done or whatever auditors has given me is the full proof, right? And maybe that is the confidence which we are going to give to the stakeholders from our perspective. But before that, as an auditor, how you ensure that this audit is like foolproof and you have taken care of all the things?
Sure, 100%. We'll talk on that. So there are different audits, Gaurav, that happen, and we need to understand what is the scope of the audit, the audit universe, because what happens is there is an expectation from the board and the CXOs, and you need to make sure you're aligned to the expectation. So whenever you do an audit, you need to understand what will the audit give me. For example, if you're looking at only systems and say, okay, I just want an ISO certification, I will do only an information security audit. But I want something which is very detailed, which goes to the nitty-gritties. I may do a SOC 2 type 2 audit. If you're in the banking industry, then you have PCI DSS. So one is understanding the need of the CXOs, understanding what the board wants or your clients want, and then doing an audit which is aligned to them. So once you understand, okay, so I'll pick up a simple example, say an ISO 27001, information security proper audit. So first thing is, okay, this is what the management wants, this is what I'm doing. First, create your audit universe. You understand what is the scope of the audit, what are the controls I need to audit, which teams I need to audit, which locations I need to audit. If you are in a company which has offices in different geographies, there are different entities certification that you'll have, because every country will have an entity certificate. You can't have one certificate for, like say for India, UK, US, and Philippines, or say Middle East. You have to have like a unique entity for each of them. So you need to understand, okay, what is my scope? How many locations am I covering? Do I have the right entity who's to be audited? So your first step is defining the audit universe with the right scope, with the right teams, with the right entities. So this is what my audit scope is. Now next step is then educating your people, having those discussions with them and taking information from them. Like what I would typically do is I will have a catch up or a discussion with the business heads or the top CXOs or maybe a level down business units, and talk to them like, this is what the board wants us, this is what we're going to do. I will give them a high level plan. Like, this is, say, I'm starting an audit today, being, say, 1st of May, and this is going to take the next 6 months. This is very clear cut deliverables. Like, we're going to start today. This is expectations from your team. We're going to give you a questionnaire. We need you to send documents to us. Then we will come and interview you. We will understand that what you've shared or what you're doing is per the process? Are all the controls effective? So you explain everything to them. You take a buy-in from them. And once everyone's aligned, then you start an audit. Moving ahead, first is your audit universe, then is having a kickoff meeting with the stakeholders. Then your third step is picking up documentation, trying to understand, okay, this is my scope of an audit. What are you really doing? Having interviews with you. So, example, Gaurav, I'm auditing the GB show, or say I'm auditing Cyberfrat today.
Okay.
I will come and say, okay, Gaurav, what is it that you do? Can you show me what is it you're doing? Are you legally, what is your legal, contractual, regulatory requirements? Can I see them? How are you ensuring there is security here? Since you're looking at an ISO audit, is the building fireproof? What is happening if today there's a fire here? You look at physical security. You look at perimeter security. You would make sure that if you're looking at data and whatever data you have, how secure your data is. So you will have a spread checklist or a control list or at least a document list that you will share beforehand. Like, Gaurav, I'm going to come and audit you. I'm giving you this as a reference. This may not be an exhaustive list, but this will be something that you could use. And I will come and audit you. So day of the audit, now I have a plan. Everyone knows when I'm going to come. I have different teams who are going to be audited on different days. So day one comes and you say, Gaurav, we're going to be audited. I have shared a list of questions with you. Let's go through them. So if you're doing an ISO audit, you have 114 controls, which now with the transition have gone down to 93. But I will look at all things. If I'm doing a sample audit, I'll check your, say, physical controls first, your IT controls second, your HR controls after that, your desktop controls after that, your people controls, how are you doing BGV, how are you training people. So in short, all those controls you're going to check. You're going to make sure that you're doing everything that the standard wants you to do, how closely you're working with the standard, and that finally will get you a report, an audit report where I will share with you and say whoever's in the audit scope. Like, this is where you really stand. These are the controls. This is where you stand. These are your gaps. We need to work together, make sure you close these gaps, and then you give them some time.
Okay.
Some findings can be very easy to close. Some can be very concerning. So in the audit language, you will call something like a non-conformity, which has to be done today. Then there are observations, then there are opportunities for improvements. So in a way, you'll have a report, you will share with everyone, and then it's for you to make sure that you close those findings and send it back to me. My next step then is making sure that all those findings are closed now. Then I give a report or to the management, like, this is what I've seen. We do something which is called as a management review meeting.
Okay.
This is once you finish the internal audit. So I will sit with the CXOs and the heads and say, what, I've done an audit. This is what I've seen. This is very concerning to me. This is something which can be fixed. This is what you need to help me close on. So before you have, say, like an external person come and certify you, you need to close on all those findings. Okay. And this management review meeting, you will get that commitment from the management. Like, we're going to support you, close on these. Some you can close. Some may need budgets. Some may need changes to process. Easier said than done. People are reluctant. So once that is done, then you go to an external certification, and an external person comes and audits you, and if everything's fine, they'll give you a certification. So this is typically how your whole audit journey will happen. And if you follow everything step by step, and important, Gaurav, for me is keeping the stakeholders involved, keeping your top management involved. How you do the actual internal audit. We spoke about emotional quotients, and the reason we discuss culture in audits is if you can break even with the stakeholders or the auditees, if you can tell them why you are here, what will benefit if you do the things right, how much it will benefit the business. If you get a certification, how much is going to benefit you. I think you'll have a very thorough audit. And I think that's how I would say you really have success to the audit.
Awesome. I think you put together all the audit process in a good framework. I think my audience must be loving this, that, okay, this is how the framework works, and we can use that. And it's coming from a great experience as well. But I think every story is not a Gaga story, right? Everywhere
100%.
It's not so easy or feels like, okay, this is how it's done. So maybe I can ask you directly as well that which country was difficult to work with, or maybe I will just like to know from your experience that what kind of different challenges you have faced and any thing which was concerning and you have overcome, and you became today with that experience. I like to get that from you.
I would say you're always learning. Every day is something new that you're learning. But what I would say, Gaurav, is something that we started with. When you go to a different region, like, when I started 10, 15 years before, no one really spoke about this. Like, even if you go today and, you Google things and you look at it, people will talk a lot about auditing. How you follow scope, how you do audits, how can you be very effective auditor. But no one really talks about, or at least I have not seen, I don't want to quote things here, but at least I have not seen people talking about cultural differences a lot. And how do you pick up these nuances? So I had challenges, like, for example, when I audited the, say, people in the UK, they are very different. And what we did is, okay, this is how things are done here. But when you go to the UK, that is not how things happen. So say, for example, a very simple thing like a background verification process when you do for HR. So every time you have someone who's onboarded, a new person, you do like a BGV or a background verification, which will have different parameters. Say there is something that talks about your criminal history, your previous employers, things like this are very different. But when you go to the UK, you have to do BGV, but then you have to have consent from the person because GDPR comes in. I need to say I'm okay to it only for you to do it. And even the details that they have, they may not have that whole list that you'll have in India. Like in India, you'll have a very long list. Education, criminal, police verification, the list goes on. I don't think I've ever gone back saying, no, I don't want to be checked. Like in India, I don't think we have that culture. But when you go and ask the same thing in UK, they're like, but why are you asking me this? I'm not supposed to do this. The law doesn't want me to do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, that's very interesting. So, that's when you go back and see, okay, your legal requirements are different. So that is why I say, law of the land is important. You need to know your legal regulations, how things matter there. That jurisdiction is very important. There's no one size fits all in auditing. What happens here may not happen there. There's no cut, copy, paste. It will happen, but with modifications. So when you go there, you need to know these things. I think those have been my challenges to understand these things. But over a period of time, you've understood what you need to do. So when I talk to my teams, my peers, or my colleagues from the industry, I always say, this is all the book will tell you. But there is something outside the book which is very important. And again, I was reading somewhere, I think one of the reports is, 85% of soft skills is very important for the next future. You need to really have those core jobs, because look at the way AI, chat GPT, everything is going. How much will you really keep with yourself? Today, everything is happening online. So this is, I feel, the only thing that is really keeping you afloat. So work on those.
And I think you have made a valid point where you said the lot is outside the book, and
Yes.
I think that is why this show is all about, right? So people need to learn, or you give them what is not in the book, and that brings me to my last segment of the episode. And I think it was really insightful session so far. I got a good learning, and what I just want to ask you to talk to my audience directly, that if someone who is wanted to start his journey as a auditor, or maybe someone is already an auditor but now he's expanding in the verge of being global, right? What are the few advice or best practices you will like to share to him? So it's all yours.
Hi listeners, thank you for tuning into the GB show firstly, and thank you for joining the fraternity. Today there's a lot of information out there, Gaurav. I think there are a lot of institutes they can do, and I think you yourself are doing a lot of training, branding you though.
Thank you.
You discussed so it's very easy to get a lot of information out there. There are institutes you can join, training academies, but I would say from whatever I've spoken, looking at the emotional quotient side, I think be sensitive to people's emotions when you audit. Just because you will never be liked as an auditor. When you go there, make sure that you build that environment. You have that kind of understanding when you audit. I think one more thing I didn't cover, Gaurav, and which I realized traveling globally is it's not easy to travel. So especially when you're traveling to the States, you're traveling 35, 40 hours. And then you may go there for a one-day audit. So the time I've spent traveling is less than the actual time I've spent on the US soil. So there's a lot of time lags that you'll have. You'll have jet lags. The food that you eat is going to be different. Your body is not going to support you. So we talk a lot about, how you do an audit, but even getting in the right audit framework when you've traveled 30, 40 hours and then, you sleep because you're going to be jet lagged. If you're going from India to US, it's opposite, 12 hours difference, When we're going to sleep, you're going to start your day. So, you may be totally zonked or jet lagged when you're going to do the audit. So you need to prepare yourself for that. I think a lot has been spoken in the health industry today. I don't want to dwell into that, but I think to everyone who wants to join, take care of your health first, because I think that is very important. I don't want to sound very spiritual here, but I think yoga helps. Reading helps a lot. I do that a lot. Do yoga, do a little meditation. Try to eat clean, especially when you're traveling. Because all these things I've realized make a lot of difference when you're on the actual audit. The last thing you want is, you have extra drinks on the flight. And when you're on the audit, you just can't concentrate on the audit. So the effectiveness of your audit is not going to be the best. So I think, being a good auditor, you need to have very good health. Because if you're going to travel and if you want to take that time, you need to be very healthy. So start with taking care of your health. There's enough information for you to read online. Do that. Join good training institutes. Have a mentor. Look at what's out in the industry. Be clear where you want to go. There's a lot of niches out there. If you want to get into cybersecurity, if you want to get into information security, AI is the buzzword. I think there's a new standard also that has been launched on AI. So I think start the journey. It's a beautiful space to be in. I think this is the future. If you already decided to get into this, I think you made a very good decision. And we are all yours. The GB shows here, Gaurav's there, I'm there, his team's there. So, and I think there are a lot of CISOs out there and mentors who are happy to share our knowledge with you. So, we'll see you on the other side. I'm more than happy. Ever needed on LinkedIn, please feel free to ping me. I'll share whatever I can.
Amazing. I think I really loved how you have started, because for audit, in my all episodes, I was just talking about, how to do it effectively or how to be into a particular thing, tech and things. I think the auditor's mind also need to be, fresh, and he should able to think, and because you need to find the findings, right? And for that you need to be, I think you have given the best advice as well, that your mind should be ready, and how you go for gym or be prepared your day. You're just saying before preparing the audit. I think this is a topic, maybe an idea for my next episode, where I can actually see for a risk management or a CISO or for an auditor, how to make yourself ready right before stepping into the shoes of it. So amazing. I think, Anish, great talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining in today. And as you have branded and you told me that it's kind of a replica of Coffee with Karan, so we do have a hamper as well. Okay.
Amazing. So no rapid fires for the hamper.
No,
you just give it
it's like you just came and we like to honor you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Gaurav.
Sure. Thank
you so much. Everyone.
Thank you. Okay, guys. Thank you for watching us. I'll see you next Friday, same time, same place. Till then, take care. See ya. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Cheers.